Hello and happy New Year's Eve. We're almost there. it feels like it feels like the energy that I'm feeling today is just excited. and like a lot of looking forward energy. There's the sadness. It's interesting because there's this extreme excitement to like be able to move into a new book, move into a new chapter, move forward. And it feels like as this collective is reflecting on this past year, there's a lot of sadness that comes up around it. It broke you. It feels like it feels like this past year broke you in many different ways. More times than you can even count. And there's just this really feel good energy about being able to come onto the other side, being able to finally get out of the dark, being able to finally shift through some things that were weighing you down and were like so heavy. They were keeping you from enjoyment, from moving forward, from being happy in your lives on a day to day basis. And it feels like you're realizing how far you've come and how much work you've put in, and how a lot of this happened in this past year. So I just saw a crow fly past my window with like a worm, it looked like, in its mouth or something. And so, what that's signifying to me is, you've done so much deep healing, so much deep pulling up and resolving and taking care of and restructuring and just like building your confidence again and seeing yourself again. A lot of loss of relationships is another thing that's coming through. And all because you were learning how to choose yourself. You were learning that the choices that you had made in the past were not actually things that you wanted for yourself, but things that you were told you were supposed to want, things you were told you were supposed to be, things you were told you were supposed to do. And this past year has been so much shedding of that. And there's been so much healing. And you've integrated so much of your shadow that you are finally reaping the rewards of what it feels like to have an integrated shadow. You are finally experiencing moments of joy and excitement and looking towards the future with excitement and passion. And it feels like, ooh, my ears ringing. It feels like this has not been something that you've experienced. It feels like you've had like these little glimpses throughout your life where you've had these experiences of feeling good and joy and excitement, and they would kind of fall away as fast as they would come in. And you're finally getting to a place where you're experiencing these things more often, this feeling, and you're also experiencing it longer. And so it feels like this has been like the longest experience for you where you have been able to feel good, feel joyful, feel passionate, feel excited, and even feel excited for like the unknown, because I do think there's a part of you that doesn't exactly know where you're going, but you know how you want to feel. And you're starting to feel that more and more. I'm seeing somebody who is kind of walking through like a very dark cave, and they can see the light at the end, like the opening to the cave, and they're about to pop their head out and come into the light. And it feels so warm in the sun. in that light at the end of the cave. And there's so much gratitude and appreciation there as well. But it also feels like, the head is outside of the cave, but everything else is in the cave, right? And so this is telling me that, like, that brighter days are coming. That you can see the future and it seems bright and it feels bright, right? But there's still some heaviness that you're moving through today as you move into this new year. It feels like there's still some reflection and grief and sadness that needs to be released and processed to fully step out of the cave into full warmth. And you're so close. You are so close. And this past year has just been so much shedding and just had so much loss. But even though this year had a lot of difficulties, you overcame every single one. And you should feel proud of yourself for that because Spirit is proud of you. You've come through and moved through every single one. There were times this year when you didn't want to get back up. I'm hearing that very clearly. There were times this year where you just wanted to stay down. And you did for maybe like a day or two, maybe a little bit longer, sometimes maybe a week. But then you chose to get back up and keep going. You never let it keep you down. No matter how long you got knocked down for, you never let it keep you down. You continued to show up and you continued to put the work in and you continued to move forward. And as you reflect on this year, that's what they want you to focus on. They want you to focus on not everything that happened to you, but how you overcame it, how you rose from it, how you healed from it and through it, how you started to become closer to yourself, closer to you because of it. Where you're going, they can't come with you. And a lot of the losses that you experienced this year really were people who were keeping you kind of stuck in their karmic cycles. So I feel like you're somebody who kind of got caught in other people's problems and karmic cycles. And for a while, you carried other people's burdens, other people's problems. And this year really taught you how to let people have their own issues and that it's not yours. Like, kind of taught you how to stay in your own lane. It's what's coming through, how to recognize what's yours and what's not, and how to disconnect and detach from that. And by doing that, that's kind of what's putting you into a whole nice new cycle of existence, is that you've been able to detach from situations where you carried for a really long time things that were never yours to carry to begin with. I feel like I'm talking to somebody who deeply cares for other people and deeply loves other people. And so this was you trying to love them. But by doing that, you are abandoning yourself. And that's one of the things I feel like this collective has really learned this year is the difference between love and self-abandonment. It feels like you're really starting to understand the difference between those two things. Healthy love is not self-abandonment. And you've just like overcame so much this year. And I'm here to tell you next year is easier. This was the year of destruction and chaos, is what I just heard. And this was the year to end those cycles so that you don't carry it into the next cycle, into the next year, so you can move forward. And this was that year. 2025 was that year. But 2026 is going to be the rebuild. This year was about creating the foundation. It feels like the whole year was this giant tower moment, one after another, after another, after another. And I could go on and on and on and on, right? Like there was many of them. I don't even think you can count how many there were. And some of them, because you have overcome so many of them, you may not even realize they were towers that you were overcoming at a certain point because you were that well practiced this year with rebuilding and letting go. That's another thing that's coming through. Is this year was really about learning to let go, learning to accept what is, learning that what is meant for you cannot miss you, learning that you don't need to grasp onto things, that you can release and still be happy. There were many tower moments this year that occurred for you, and some of them brought you to your knees, is what I'm hearing. But the strength that you had to overcome them and get back up, it's beautiful. Ooh, I'm getting really emotional now. It's really beautiful. You really showed up for yourself. You truly showed yourself what you're capable of. This year, I feel like rebuilt yourself. You rebuilt yourself in so many ways. You showed yourself how beautiful and strong you are. You showed yourself how you can overcome anything. You showed yourself determination, completion, and you even started to come home to yourself, which is the best feeling we can have in this world. These towers needed to happen though, because with this destruction came this understanding that you needed to see certain things that you were unable to see without the destruction. So, with the destruction, you were able to see through the illusions. You were truly able to see what things truly were, not what you thought they were, you wanted them to be, or you hoped them to be. And by these towers experiencing and happening in your life, you started to build a really solid foundation for yourself to rebuild on. And that's what this year was meant for this collective. It was meant for you to create a new foundation, and this time a sturdy foundation. I'm seeing like the other foundation was so weebly wobbly. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. um, it was so weebly wobbly that it was not going to withstand time. It needed to go so that you could create a more solid foundation for yourself to build off of. Because this next year is going to be building. This next year is going to bring in soul family and connections. This next year is going to bring in new understandings of what your movement forward is. This next year is going to bring in a deep understanding of yourself. It feels like you're still, I mean, I don't think we ever truly know ourselves completely, right? We're constantly changing in my eyes. I feel like this year was a really big understanding of who you are, but kind of like an onion has like so many different layers. You've gotten a couple layers deep, but you still got some more to go to kind of truly understand what you want out of your life and what you want out of relationships and what you want for yourself. And so it does feel like you understand yourself on a much deeper level. And though next year is going to be the continuation of the peeling of that onion and the layers and getting to know yourself on that level again. Next year is going to bring in those relationships that make you feel seen, those relationships that make you feel safe, because now you truly know yourself and you truly know your worth. So you will know when something is for you and when it's not. That was really what this year was about. Was you getting to know yourself enough to know what's for you and what's not instead of holding on to everything and anything that came your way. You don't need to do that anymore. I do also feel like there's a comfort that you've learned to have with yourself that you didn't have previously to this year either, where you're more comfortable being with yourself than you were. That feels kind of significant in this past year, is like learning how to just be with you. It feels like there was a part of you that was afraid to get too close to yourself of what you would see. Um, but I do feel like you really overcame that this year and started to really build a comfort with being with you and enjoying time with you. And that's kind of why you've been able to peel back so many layers, is what I just heard. This next year is bringing in so many possibilities and so many miracles and so many new beginnings. I just keep seeing triple zeros. And for me, that's kind of like completion, cycle completion, new beginnings, right? And next year is the year of the one. So I'm seeing like you closed out three pretty significant cycles this past year. And it feels like within your bloodline and generationally, you've closed out those cycles. Um, I think it comes down to how you are behaving in relationships would be one circle, how you're seeing yourself and what you deserve would be another circle. So, like this confidence piece. And it does feel like you're seeing your ability differently, like your capabilities differently. So, not just like yourself and your energy, but like what you're capable of producing. Like that feels like that's changed too, where I feel like this comes from your family in some ways. You had a certain belief about what you could do for work or what you could do in this life, and that's widening, right? Like it just feels like there's this extreme expansion going on right now. And as you continue to follow this expansion and you continue to trust in the unknown and you continue to move forward with grace, things will make more and more sense. I'm being guided to say that not everything is meant to make sense right now. With time, things will make more sense and you'll have more understanding. And that's part of letting the unknown guide you. That's part of going with the flow, is learning how to give space for miracles to show up. When we're constantly trying to figure out what's next or where to go or how things are supposed to turn out, we close ourselves off to miracles. I'm seeing someone like um, the hose, like when you twist a hose, right, and the water stops, it stops that flow. And so this year, you're really being asked to release the need to know. Try to just go with flow and passion and your excitement and your joy. Ask yourself, what do I want to do right now? And do that thing. And try to move through life in that way. That opens you up to the miracle frequency of what could be. But I do see a really beautiful 2026 for this collective. And Oof. Your team is so proud of you for getting through this year the way that you did. And they just want you to be proud of yourself and let yourself acknowledge that too. Let yourself reflect and be grateful for you who was able to overcome. One thing that's coming through is that it does feel like you're receiving some information about past lives that you've had. Trust it. I don't know why, but that's coming through very clearly. Um, you may be having like dreams about certain time periods or yeah, something like that, or like when you're daydreaming, seeing certain time periods or experiences. Those are your past lives. It's kind of cool how they show up when you're ready to receive them. And it feels like you're walking into a space of being ready to receive those kinds of things. So um, that shows that you've really overcome a lot if they're able to give you that information now. And that's part of what they want you to understand for yourself because it's a part of your soul foundation of who you are. Yeah. So be excited about this next year. Let yourself be excited and let yourself also grieve and let go of this year and move forward. I am being guided to share one way to do this is maybe writing a letter to your 2025 self and then burn that bitch. Um, or tear it up or put it in water or bury it in your plant. I've done that before. Um, but I think that that might be a way for you to process and release, and it could be really helpful for you. So I wish you the best New Year's Eve this year. And if you feel called to work with me, you can take a look at my bio. I offer coaching, psychic reading, spiritual guidance. I do empowerment coaching to help you build confidence so that you can live out your purpose and a happy life. And I got some really cool prompt journals up in there too that help you with feelings and stopping people pleasing and working through writer's block if that interests you as well. And some classes as well in my Inner Eclipse community. But I love you so much. Enjoy this movement and transition into a new beginning. I love you. Bye.